Hello lovely people, welcome to our weekly reading for the week of the 19th of February. I hope you are all well and I hope you have enjoyed the last reading, and I hope you are looking forward to seeing what this week has in store for us as much as I am. So our first card today is the Five of Pentacles, and this is followed with the Ten of Swords, and this is followed with the Page of Wands. So we have two minor arcana cards here, which is very much to do with sort of day-to-day kind of life, and then we have a court card here, which can be, it's very much about an aspect of yourself, or it could even involve people that are very close to you. Now, although I say these minor arcana cards are very much about, day-to-day sort of things, there is, that's based on kind of like what goes on in our psyche, what sort of thoughts that sort of drive us. And the reason why I am actually driven to point this out to you is that the Five of Pentacles here very much represents poverty and neediness. And Pentacles is a card which is very much about our very basic needs. So it's our career, it's the house we live in, it's those the lower, the base chakra sort of needs. And this poverty and neediness, it's not just a financial condition that one suffers from. It's actually a pervasive state of mind. So it would be the sort of thing, it would be like, how am I going to pay for this? I don't have enough money. How am I ever going to have enough money? Or it might even be, maybe you're thinking, my car, I desperately need a new car, but I'm never going to be able to save up for one. You might be somebody that thinks to yourself, I'm not very good with money. And maybe this is something you've heard from other people, that you're not very good at money. And maybe you have taken this information on board when it's really not your narrative, but somebody else's. You might be somebody that thinks, just if only I could be so lucky that I would win the lottery. And, this sort of, when can I get out of debt? This is really what poverty consciousness means. It's not just poor people that think this. It's not just people that have no money that think this, or very much rich people can think like this as well, because it's a mindset. So it's a poverty conscious mindset, and it's not actually, as I said before, it's not about money, it's about self-esteem. So part of this consciousness would be, where you'd be saying to yourself, I'm totally worthless, or, nobody appreciates me. All of this sort of thing is part of the poverty conscious mindset. And there's plenty of people with plenty of money that have come out with these expressions. So I actually think it's really important to listen to the words that are coming out of our mouths. I do think that's really important. Now, I would sort of ask you here too, like, do you ever sort of feel that, success is granted to other people? Like, it's always somebody else is always successful, but never you. And again, that's a sort of poverty conscious mindset. Maybe you don't feel compensated for the work that you do. Are you earning the appropriate amount of money that you should be earning for the services that you're giving? And if you're working for yourself, then maybe it's time for you to look at readjusting the fees that you charge. And if you're working for somebody else, then maybe now is the time to ask for a rise, or it could be, well, time to look for a new job. So it kind of looks at boundaries that you're setting for yourself and for other people. So, are you setting healthy boundaries? Do you value yourself? So it's the fives in the tarot. They do herald change. Five everywhere is a number of change, and the Five of Pentacles, it sort of indicates an acceptance that change is inevitable. So this card has come up in a reading, and I'm saying to you now, this card is a little message to you to say that change is inevitable, and that, in terms of like making, say, preparations, and making preparations that will create comfort in the long term, because it is a material card. And so, the sort of thing I'm talking about here would be, create plans to have a pension, to grow your pension, to get your house, to secure your house. All of this sort of thing is necessary before kind of like progress can be made. Because basically this card represents a material approach to change. And it's interesting with poverty and poverty, even consciousness, it sometimes forces people to adjust or to simply reevaluate what's important to them. And when you're really young, you don't be thinking of pensions and, possibly not thinking about a house, oh, I'll rent, who wants the burden of a mortgage and all of that. But as you get older, you begin to realize, well, actually, I'd rather be paying a mortgage than paying rent, if that's possible for you. And it's when you get much older that you start thinking in terms of your pension, and if you're lucky, you can be looking forward to a pension. And if you are of the sort of rebel view, oh, who needs a pension, then you might be thinking, well, kind of wish I had gone down that road. So this is a time now for you to reflect on these things. What is important to you? And there is this idea, if you look at this couple here, there are really bright lights here, but they're not actually noticing them because they're so engrossed in where they are at the moment. And that is out in the cold, that's out in the snow. And there is there is a kind of another way of looking at this, in kind of maybe sometimes you might need to you might need to experience poverty or a form of poverty to discover the other side of the coin. And if you can remember the days of, say, like deprivation, then when you have money, when you're wealthy again, as would be, say, the 10 of Pentacles, then you're much more likely to, you're much more likely to understand others that are in need and have compassion and empathy. So character is very much strengthened by the challenges that we meet in life. And, the poverty, it may be financial, but it can equally be emotional, it can be mental, and it can be spiritual. So, it is very much, it's an experience. Wherever it's coming from, it's an experience. And also it's a source of fulfillment. If you can overcome this and learn to change your mindset, then this really is very character building. So I do love this card because I always think it's a very interesting card to come up, because it will force us to look at our lives and think, well, where do I experience this sense of poverty consciousness? And as I said, it's not just money, it's a mindset, and that can be emotional, it can be mental, it can be spiritual. So I kind of love this card in a very perverse sort of way. Then this brings us on to the 10 of Swords. Now, the Swords is very much about your thoughts. It's what's going on upstairs in your head. And the 10 is very much about, the number 10 is very much about completion. So the 10 of Swords is about how your personal beliefs lead to the consequences. And even though you can't really see your beliefs, your convictions themselves are invisible, they can be identified by the results that they produce. And we're kind of going back here to this card here. So the 10 of Swords can be described as releasing ideas and thinking. And it's about surrendering, really. It's about accepting that life might have a better plan than you yourself realize. And that maybe life has a better plan than you yourself are even constructing. So instead of making plans to achieve something, this card is actually saying, allow opportunities to surface, and allow them to surface unhindered by your personal beliefs and expectations. And doesn't that bring us beautifully back to this card? I must say, I just love these tarot readings, because they're so, the way they connect with each other, I always find really fascinating. And so the 10 of Swords, it shows how your thinking determines who you become. And, if you can imagine, when your life ends, you are actually the sum total of your actions and your decisions. That lovely little saying that is kind of as you think, so you become. And so although we've got two different suits here, we're very much looking at the power of your mind, the power of thinking, and how it is possible to change your circumstances if you change your thinking. And so you have to remember, we can't always change what happens on the outside, but the 10 of Swords, it is a reminder that it's possible to reshape your personal attitudes, and you do that through consciously adjusting your daily thinking. And that's really important. It has to be a conscious thing, and eventually it'll become unconscious, but when this card comes up, you're in that place where you have to consciously adjust your daily thinking. And the daily bit is kind of important here too. So you really need to turn it into a habit. And so this really, when this card comes up, it's a time to assess your personal ideas and your beliefs and your habits, and to determine if they're supporting you or destroying you, quite simply. So again, these two cards are giving you exactly the same message, giving us exactly the same message, just from two different places, really. So the fact that these two have come up, I think it's that the time has come to listen, to look at what's happening in our lives, and to see how is our thinking determining the consequences. So the 10 of Swords often turns up when a situation is at its lowest point. However, from death comes rebirth. And from the ending of one such situation, another opportunity appears. So this is a really good time to, as I said earlier, to re-examine your beliefs about life, as they may well have contributed to your current circumstances. Now here we're coming from poverty conscious, here we're coming from, you're at a very, very low point here. But all is not lost. This is very much a card about surrendering, and it's like surrendering to the universe, if you like. But by surrendering, it's actively surrendering in a sense, because it's about changing your thought patterns. And so it's a card that will come up to if you're feeling overwhelmed. This is a very, very natural response to the situation. And I want to look forward here to this card to kind of see where this outcome might go, what the direction is. And because this card highlights as well obsessively chilling on maybe past previous things without any sort of new conclusions. So really and truly mental discipline really is required here to move on, to move through. I think I like that expression. And when you move through this, there will be transformation. And this card is telling you that transformation is meant to be, because it's this transformation that will make your spirit stronger. So it's a bit of hard work involved here, but everything is doable. And then we move on to the Page of Wands. Now, this is a very positive, really optimistic card, because the Wands cards are very much about their enthusiasm and energy and fiery and adventurous and wanting to do things and move on and move through and all sorts of things, really. And so this is a lovely suit to follow these two. So as a situation, like the Page of Wands indicates beginning a new project. But the key word here really is with enthusiasm. Wands is a very, very enthusiastic suit. And so this card points to a willingness to learn and also to gain practical skills by taking action. And because Wands are doers, they like to do. So this can often be a venture that is taken, say, without a clear plan. And now here, we're looking at plans here, but we're looking at two different suits. So this is saying if you were looking at your life and thinking, well, I need to provide for later on in my life, then I want to set up whatever is necessary here to do that. And then this card over here is saying, sort this bit out over here, and then let's just get on. But Wands are doers. So they learn through actually doing things, and they prefer to be active. They're very impatient people, and so they don't like to spend too much time planning. And this is often where if you were setting up a business or something, you'd be very good to have your Wands and your Swords person, because your Swords person will, and your Pentacles person, they will do the planning, they will do the thinking, they will do the planning, they will do the doing kind of way. That would be your perfect sort of little team. And so Wands people, they really enjoy a challenge, and they love the sort of constant movement that, new goals provide. And for Wands people, life is only as good as the next challenge. So we're looking at enthusiasm, we're looking at an energetic type of person, self-motivated, someone who needs to have a goal or a destination that they're motivated towards. Now, this is either an aspect of yourself, or if it's somebody within your circle somewhere, or somebody that's going to come into your circle, it will be somebody that has all of these characteristics, and quite likely to be somebody that is younger rather than older. Or else it's certainly, the pages tend to be younger. However, having said that, it can be a very young energy. So, that's really important to keep in mind as well. So, if this person, this kind of person relishes a challenge, and if they don't have an objective, they can become despondent or restless, they can become argumentative. So the Page of Wands represents planning, say, a trip or moving house or changing jobs. It's something that's new, it's about to happen, and it sort of concerns that time in life when movement or change is required to add energy and enthusiasm to your life. And really that can be at any time in your life, but it's usually at the end of a cycle, and the 10s is the end of a cycle. The 10s are about completion. So to have the Page of Wands follow after the 10 is a great, this is really, really great. So it's looking very positive and interesting as well. So we're looking at starting afresh, learning through direct involvement, because we're looking at Page of Wands. And this card describes a person who is unafraid to retrain. So, to retrain for, say, a career or for anything really. And because their kind of attitude is, well, how difficult can it be? And at the same time, they will spontaneously just leap forward, to the next challenge. Now, in terms of a relationship, this card can suggest that that there's a relationship opportunity that is new and unfamiliar. Because this is very much a card of creativity, and there's an awful lot of orange. I mean, orange is, this card is saturated with orange, and orange is very much the colour of creativity. And here you have all of these salamanders, on the tunic. Now, salamanders represent, they represent spirituality. They represent opportunities, resourcefulness, great power, and what I think is really important in life is resilience. So the salamander really does represent resilience. So we're looking at kind of, maybe you're about to receive some news. It'll be interesting news. It'll be positive news, but it will be news that you will very likely just have to act on, rather than sit back and think too much about. And there is a kind of sense of perfectionism about this card, but I think it's much more about the doing. And the other thing to bear in mind with the page as well, whether it doesn't matter, really matter which suit it is, but pages can be immature. So pages can have a tendency to act out of emotions sort of before thinking, and therefore there is a need to grow up in themselves. So a very interesting little trio of cards today. And I'm going to leave you on that note. So if it resonates with you, do please leave me a comment below. And you can also subscribe to this channel to be notified for the next reading. If you would like to know more, you can book a private reading with me. I love to hear from you. You'll find the description of the video. You'll find my email address in the description of the video. So lovely people, I'm going to love you and leave you, and talk to you again next week.